Mr. President, I wish I could vote yes on this bill, but I'm going to vote no for the following reason. That we all say we're fiscal conservatives in both parties. And we've heard over and over again an attack on tax and spend. And at least tax and spend was honest. But now what we've done in this Commonwealth and what's going on in Washington is we replace tax and spend with borrow and spend. It to me is wrong to have a budget and not have the means to pay with it and not vote on it at the same time. I put in legislation to correct that. It goes nowhere. So, Mr. Chairman, the issue is very simple. That when you do a budget, whether it's at home, as some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle like to tell me, they use the analogy, we sit around the kitchen table and we figure out what our expenses are and how much we can pay. So what had been a Democratic tax and spend agenda at least was an honest one where the citizens knew what the money was going for. Now what we've done is we have a bipartisan borrow and spend agenda, and I just can't agree to it. Also, Mr. President, secondarily, I have worked for 8 years to try to end this obsession with testing. And when I realized that we only could piece together $100 million on school subsidy, and only of the $5 billion in school subsidy, even with the addition, only $250 million will go out under the new formula to help the poorer districts. I sit here also realizing that in this budget is $50 million for assessments. So the cost of testing our students who do not have the resources to pass the test is half of what we're going to give the school districts to help those students. So, Mr. President, I appreciate the fine work that has been done here. I know that this work is very hard. But, Mr. President, in my conversations with my constituents, which is in a Republican county, by the way, Mr. President, they have made very clear to me that when you deal with spending, you deal with revenue at the same time. And my constituents have made clear that we're not making any progress if we replace tax and spend with borrow and spend in terms of solving both the $1.5 billion deficit from this year, where we did the same kind of borrow and spend budget, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to borrow to save next year and probably to take care of part of this year. So, Mr. President, I think it's wonderful that we provide services to people, but let's be upfront. Let's be honest. Let's tell people how we're going to pay for those services. Everyone wants something, but no one wants to pay for something. And when you have a borrow and spend budget, we as a legislature are doing exactly that. We're saying, here's the money, but we don't know how we're going to pay for it. So I have to vote in the negative.